Greetings, YouTube. Today I'd like to talk about Fallout New Vegas, specifically the Legion and some of the tribals. Now, I'm aware that the Fallout series has a hard-on for the post-apocalyptic aesthetic even stronger than my own, and my hobby is making post-apocalyptic weapons. And they're willing to bend the laws of logic and reason well past the breaking point as to why, in a 200-year time span, people are still living in a wasteland, grubbing in the dirt over broken car parts. That's absurd, and I get it. But I understand the fan base wants that aesthetic, so they don't care if it makes no sense. But that also bleeds over into some of the social groups that exist. Now, I've been watching Gopher play Fallout New Vegas for ages now. His character Jack is awesome, and I've been watching Many a True Nerd, John from Many a True Nerd, and he's been doing a number of playthroughs of that game. And at the moment, he's doing a survival run as well as a survival run in Fallout 4. He's almost wrapped that up completely, and then he said he's going to make some kind of interesting announcements. I'm looking forward to that. By the time you see this video, he may have already made that decision and told us what he's going to do. He's really quite entertaining. Though it's interesting to see the playstyle differences between Gopher and John. Gopher plays a character immersed in the world around him. John plays the game. He makes decisions based on what is the best way to play the game to achieve a certain end. And his characters often do things that make no sense just to achieve those ends. So it's interesting to see the difference between someone playing a character and someone playing the game itself. Now, first off, we have the Legion. Now, I can kind of almost sort of understand why you might want to use the Legion, the Roman Legion, as a template for some organization. You'd have to be historically ignorant of the fact that within the Roman Empire, the legions were at war with each other almost as often as they were at war with other people. And the leaders of the Roman Empire and the Republic before them were constantly involved in backstabbing and assassinations and plots and overthrowing and revolutions. So it's not what you call a stable template to use, but it has a certain cachet, a certain gravitas, so I get that. Why would you adopt their stupid uniforms and have them use throwing spears? Why would you say do something absurd like ban them from using useful medication for some absurd reason? Why would you have a system that is inherently immoral from day one because you are slavers and because you are deeply misogynistic? So the Legion makes no sense from an ability to function as an organization and to function as an army. It makes absolutely no sense. It's absurd. It's silly. They would have been far better off using Stoicism as their foundation of ideology for an organization. That might be interesting. Even pragmatism, that might work as well. But then you have some of the other tribals, like, for example, the Great Khans. Now tell me, who in the United States knows enough about the Khans, the Golden Horde, from Asia, even today, let alone in a post-apocalyptic setting, to found an entire tribe upon it? It's bizarre and twisted and strange. The Boomers. If you have the technical base to maintain howitzers, artillery pieces, and manufacture rounds for those artillery pieces for hundreds of years, so you can just keep firing them at will at a single human target because you like to, you have the technical base to have been a competition for the Enclave and the Brotherhood. You have the technical skill to completely revitalize the whole Fallout universe. Because remember, folks, if you have one lathe, you have 2 lathes, which means then you have 4 lathes, and then you have 8 lathes, and then you have 16 lathes. If you have lathes, you have mills. And if you have lathes and mills, You can make anything. There is no more living in the apocalyptic wasteland. It's just a new era based upon that. Remember, 200 years after the apocalypse is Star Trek. So the boomers don't make sense. Now we have the kings. The kings make perfect sense. It's a tribal gang based off Americana. It's a tribal gang based off our cultural memory. That makes sense. There should be tribes in there based on the Ford clan and the Chevy clan. There should be tribes based on the Green Bay Packers or what is it, the LA Kings? I can't remember. I'm crappy with sports. Or on the Boston Bruins or the Patriots. There should be tribal groups based off of real world American cultural references. Not things like the Khans or the Fiends is a good name, but they're just junky raiders. At least in Fallout 4, they just called them raiders for the most part. And people just shoot them and kill them because they're a danger to everybody. They're like ferals. They're just a danger. They serve no purpose. I know I'm ranting about this, but I watch a lot of this game, and the glaring errors and absurdities pop up in my head constantly. It wouldn't have taken a lot, even if you keep the post-apocalyptic aesthetic to an absurd degree like they do. It wouldn't have taken much to have their tribal groups be based on American ideals and American cultural memes that would have given it much more depth and much more connection to America than some absurd legion or the Great Khans. And their pseudo-Native Americans are deeply offensive. People who have completely abandoned technology. Heck, at least you could have like some Amish group that has technology to a specific level. They just don't want to use electricity. And remember, electricity is everywhere in Fallout. Again, there's no reason that you don't have machine shops bumping them up to the 1950 technology within about 10 or 15 years, 20 and 21st century technology, our 21st century technology, within 40. The Fallout universe makes no sense, but I understand the post-apocalyptic aesthetic requirements of the fan base. But the Tribals, man, and the Legion are just silly. I know that I'm probably barking up a tree here, and people are going to disagree with me. But the Kings are an example that they did right. And I wish they had continued that concept and made things based on Americana and not some absurd Asian or Middle Eastern or vaguely European references that most Americans right now don't even have a connection to. They don't feel a connection to, let alone in a post-apocalyptic world where your big concerns are making sure you're not irradiated, poisoned, or starved. So there you go. I'd like to hear what you folks think about tribals. Do you think they're silly? Do you think they should have been more like the Kings and less like the Khans and the Legion? Do you think that maybe the Boomers could have been the technical leap forward that saves all of Fallout because they seem to have maintained a technical level way higher than almost any other group in the game? And they could build a bomber cheaper and faster than digging one up or pulling one out of a lake. That plane will never fly. It would barely be a museum piece. It would probably fall apart as soon as you got it out. They could have built in fleets of planes in the time they took them to go searching for a plane at the bottom of a lake. So, what do you think about Fallout tribes? Do you think that they make sense, or do you think I'm just raving? And don't you think Mandarin is cute? She's hating me at the moment.